All right. Bonjour, everyone. My name is Charles Lee. I'm the Senior College Advisor within the Citizen Potawatomi Nation Department of Education. And I am thrilled and beyond excited to be able to present some folks from the Cobell Scholarship Foundation to kind of give some information about their program and what they do. They were so gracious to offer to give this presentation today, and we're just so thankful for them. So you've heard plenty from me, so I'm going to give the floor to them and just kind of let them speak and give you some info on a great scholarship opportunity. Take it away.
Today, I just wanted to go into a general overview of the Cobell Scholarship Program, kind of what goes into applying, what goes into selection, and also what happens after you become a Cobell Scholar. My colleague Bridget is probably going to be jumping in on parts of it, but if you have any questions, we can kind of go into it at the end, or just throw your hand up in Zoom and we can talk about it right then and there, whichever works best.
We could put it in the chat as well, and we can monitor that.
I'm going to pull this up.
And Maloni, just to let you know, maybe about a half an hour at the most, with some time for questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because we could go on and on forever, and we have videos to show, but we'll try to keep it, to within a reasonable amount of time here.
All right. You guys can see my screen okay?
Yeah, good to go.
Okay. So, all right, so this is applying for the 22-23 Cobell Scholarship Program. All three of our names are here, but that was in the PowerPoint in my office, so So we do like to provide a land acknowledgement to just let everyone know where we are currently located. The office of IAI is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'd like to pass this on to Bridget to give the land acknowledgement.
Hi, everybody. I'm now in the third room. We are on the traditional homelands of the Pueblo people here in New Mexico, but we also acknowledge the Navajo and the Apache. And specifically in Albuquerque, it was the homelands of the Isleta and the Sandia Pueblo people. And we acknowledge the presence of traditional Native people here.
All right, so this is our IAI mission. Overall, the Cobell Scholarship aims to provide applicants with a premier and elevated and an overall positive scholarship experience. So with everything we do keep the applicants and the students in mind, and our main mission is to always make sure that they come first in everything that we do. You can go ahead and read what's here. So, of course, the Cobell Scholarship Program is in honor of Eloise Pepion Cobell, also known as Yellowbird Woman. A little bit about her: she was a member of the Blackfeet tribe of Montana. And a couple of fun facts: she established the Native American Bank. She was a MacArthur Genius Fellow, and she was also posthumously received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And then, of course, a little bit about the Cobell versus Salazar lawsuit. It was a 15-year legal battle to sue the U.S. government on the mismanagement of Indian lands and trusts. It ultimately settled for $3.4 billion in 2009 under the Obama administration, which is the photo featured here. And out of that $3.4 billion, $60 million was set aside for scholarships and programming. And that is what we work with today. And just be aware that this information is super important when applying for the Cobell Scholarship, because we do require the applicant to read 2 documents in order to respond to some of the question prompts within the application. So this is just a super simple breakdown of a few things, but the documents go well into the lawsuit and the life of Eloise Cobell. So these are a couple of eligibility points. You must be, in order to be a finalist, to be given an offer, you must be enrolled in a U.S. federally recognized tribe. You must be degree seeking and enrolled full-time. Of course, we can always work with that full-time requirement as long as the student communicates with us. But what's super important, you must be enrolled in a nonprofit institution. The profile within the Oasis portal has pretty much an entire list of universities within the US of nonprofit schools. But if you do see that your school is not listed, you can always reach out to us. Then we do a full search on it and add it to our list. So it's always growing. And also the finalists must demonstrate unmet need. And a few of these other points are tips to receiving a scholarship, which are, we are looking for high achieving, community engaged American Indian and Alaska Natives who have leadership experience and a potential for success. And remember, leadership can be very broad. It can be within your community, it can be within a university, it can be with your family. You define leadership. And of course, you must make it on time. You must submit your application by the deadline, which is March 31st of this year by 11:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And you must go through a selection process, which is then reviewed by our Cobell Scholarship reviewers. A few of our opportunities that we have available is the year-long vocational scholarship program. This is available at any time of the year, so there's no opening and there's no closing. However, there are requirements of when to complete an application for when your program is starting. So you just need to be aware of when your program is starting, when in Oasis to complete the application that's best for you. But an award for first time are $5,000 for the academic year, and then continuing vocational scholars can get up to $6,000. And of course, the summer application is $2,500. We also have the undergraduate scholarship, which is the same. First students get up to $5,000, returning up to $6,000. Be mindful of the opening and closing dates. The graduate awards are up to $12,500. And then we have a special program called the Graduate Summer Research Fellowship. And this is given to around 5 fellows per year who are conducting research during the summer months. So this is not needs-based award. This is a stipend to help them with their costs during the summer research, which is now closed. And what just opened yesterday are our undergraduate and graduate summer opportunities. This application is now available within Oasis. It's significantly shorter than an academic year app, so do keep that in mind. And then awards are up to $2,500 for both undergrad and grad. And of course, all this information is available in the Oasis portal. So what's Oasis? It's the online application and scholarship information system. This is basically the record keeper of the Cobell Scholarship Program. It includes the applicant profile, which is available all year long. Anyone can go in and start an application, and once they get into the applicant pool, they are always notified of any upcoming application openings, any opportunities that they may be eligible for. The profile also matches them to ACES scholarship opportunities. And ACES is the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. Based on the responses, if they're in a STEM field, they are also matched those opportunities. And in order to be matched those opportunities, that happens to the eligibility form. So the eligibility form can also be accessed during any time of the year, but once you submit it, you no longer have access to it. So make sure you're conscientious of how you complete it. And also, if you need to provide any updates, let us know, and we can always open that back up for you to go and provide updates. And of course, the opportunity applications, which are our 22-23 application, which is available now, as well as summer. And then if applicant is awarded and they become a Cobell Scholar, they will need to go through a spring renewal process, which starts on December 15th of each year and is open up until the following year. So what goes into a specific applicant's finalist profile, it also holds their financial needs analysis, the tribal enrollment verification, their transcripts, and course enrollments. So this is just a breakdown of everything that Oasis keeps on record for you. And anytime you need to upload anything, anytime you need to check out your status, it's always going to be available in your Oasis profile. You want to go into this one?
Sure. In order to understand the timeline, when you submit an application starting December 15th, and you have to have it submitted by March 31st. This is for the academic year 1. You can start your profile, complete your eligibility form, which is what's happening now. We're in this first quadrant or first layer, and you complete the specific, the first one will match you to a specific application. So if you put in that you're a graduate student, you'll get matched with graduate applications. Undergrad or vocational will match you to those specific opportunities. And then we also take applications for Oasis, which is the American Indian Science Engineering Society. If you indicate that you are in a STEM field, then you will most possibly get matched with some Oasis scholarships. So you can go through the opportunities and decide which ones you want to apply to. Just keep in mind that the profile and the eligibility form are not the application. Those are just the first 2 steps to get to the application. You know you're in the application when you see there's a reference required. In the reference portal, you would enter the email of the person you would like to be your recommender. And then at the undergraduate level, they would log in and complete a form. And at the graduate level, they would log in and upload a letter. Once that's done, those references are due 7 days after the application is due. So April 7th is the final deadline to get everything complete. And so from all through the month of April, you're going to want to keep an eye on your Oasis portal or your account for any status updates, and also your email, because we may email you during that time to ask for clarification or to ask for more information. Make sure you use that dedicated email that you use to log in. That's the email we're going to use to communicate with you. So all through April is our review session. And in the first week of May is when we will make offers. So if you get a finalist offer, that doesn't mean you're going to get the money yet, but you would have to complete the post acceptance. And at that stage, you will be required to upload your academic records. Up until that point, everything has been self-reported. So now we're going to ask you for a copy of your transcript. We're going to ask you for your for the fall course enrollment, so we can show proof that you are enrolling in courses. And then we will also contact your tribal enrollment officer and your financial aid officer. From your tribal enrollment, we will ask them if you are an enrolled member of the tribe. They just simply fill out a form, yes or no. They may also tell us if you're a descendant, and then if we have a special approval for descendants who are at least 1/4 American Indian, that would be a separate appeal to be approved as a tribal member. We have done that in the past for various reasons. And then the financial aid officer, we sent the financial needs analysis form, and they complete out your financial information for us, and that's how we determine your unmet need. Once the post acceptance pieces are complete and your file is complete, and you show the unmet need, you're enrolled in your tribe, you have your documents, they've been verified, then in August is when we will send out the awards, either through a check or to electronic funds transfer to your university. We will also let you know at that time if you didn't have an unmet need or for any reason that you became ineligible during the process. We also have a wait list. So if you didn't get an initial offer, you may be placed on a wait list. Not all students are placed on the wait list, but only the top scorers are placed on the wait list. And for undergraduates, we have been able to fund quite a few students from the wait list. Graduate students is much more competitive. There's not only 20% of the funds can be used for graduate study for graduate students. So the wait list for graduate students is very small. But in between terms is when you would renew. At the end of fall, you renew for spring and winter, and at the end of spring and winter, if you're on the quarter system, which I don't think there's a lot of schools in Oklahoma on the quarter system. Yeah, but so then, yeah, we would disperse your money in halves. First half of the fall, first half of the spring.
So did we want to do the video? Did we have
I
time
don't
today?
think we do, but we do need to tell them where they can watch them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we had the full hour, we would go ahead and show you exactly how to sign up in the Oasis portal, along with how to do the eligibility form and completing the application itself, along with some references. So since we can't watch those today, we do want to let you know that we have a YouTube channel. It's called Indigenous Education Inc. And all of these resources can be found there. There's a playlist, it's called Navigating Oasis. And after this presentation, I'll go ahead and send you the link.
Are they embedded in the application too?
Yeah.
The links to these videos are embedded in the application when you get to that portion.
Yep, in the information parts. So we definitely want to provide resources to make sure that you submit a competitive application and you have the best chances of receiving an award. So definitely utilize all the things that are provided to you, because we really go into depth on what a competitive applicant looks like and who we award. So going into that, some applying tips and tricks. Apply early. Of course, the opportunity has been open for a little bit now, but apply as soon as you're able to, so you can really go into depth with what is needed for this application. Not gonna lie, the undergraduate and graduate applications are pretty long. It does take a lot of reflection and a lot of envisioning your future and envisioning what you're going to do with your degree, because we really dig deep into the potential investment of a Cobell Scholar. So apply early, don't wait for the deadline, and let us know if there's anything we can do to assist you. And so when we say ask questions early for best help, that's because closer to the deadline, we really get a lot of phone calls, we get a lot of emails, and we take a lot of pride in assisting our applicants as best as we're able to when we have the time. I really enjoy having those one-on-one conversations. We can really go into the prompts and I can let you know exactly what we need to know about you. But I can't give you that help if you call 2 days before the deadline, because it's just, it's not feasible for us to go into that. So ask your questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Anything you need to know, we'll assist you with. Make sure you read all the instructions, because we do also provide everything you need to know. If anyone who's familiar with the applications, you know already that our instructions are pretty lengthy as well. And that's because we really do want you to be successful. So don't graze over them. If you have a question, it's most likely within the instructions as well. And also respond to any emails that we send you. And this is really important for the finalist stage. So if we need you to upload a different transcript, if we can't open the file, or if there's a question that we have about your FNAB, we'll email you directly. And if we don't hear from you, then there's no way that we can really fix the issue. And there has been cases where if a student hasn't responded to us, we just don't know what's going on with them, we called them, their offer does get canceled, because we do have a wait list and we don't want to leave everyone hanging. So if you have an email, just a simple acknowledgement of, I received this, I'm working on it, I'll get back to you, is really helpful on our end. Also, if you have any changes, you can always update them within the profile, which is available all year long. When it comes to the eligibility form, you will need to contact us for that. And make any additional comments that you need to clarify anything within your, I guess your part-time enrollment would be a good example, or a descendancy with your tribal vote. So these are just a few things that we wanted to share with you, because if you're a Cobell Scholar, we do want to provide more of an experience versus just receiving the funding. We engage a lot with our students on social media specifically, and this provided here is one of our social media campaigns where we highlight our scholars, we highlight people within the Indigenous community. Tesha submitted some amazing photos, and she took part in the Indigenous campaign, and oh, hers was so cool.
Well, we should have put hers up.
I know, we should have put yours up. But yeah, so this is something that we're really proud of, to provide our scholars and our community members a platform to tell their stories. So if you're interested in this campaign, check out our social media pages, it's all there. The same thing with our spotlight. We do like to highlight our scholars because all of them are amazing and you guys have stories that need to be told. So we're always creating different social media programs to highlight our scholars. And these just are a few more examples of how we engage via social media. I'm always bugging my scholars to interact with us because we have some cool stuff for them too. So like swag bags, or we'll send a gift card or something cool, because we really want to highlight y'all. So a little bit on that, where you can find us. We're on all social media platforms. Like I mentioned earlier, all of our resources are going to be available on our YouTube channel. So definitely check that out. And then of course you can get all this information on cobellscholar.org. And for immediate assistance, call us or send us an email at scholarships@cobellscholar.org. And that's it.
There's a chat.
Oh.
Okay, so we have a little bit more time. Please type your questions in or unmute yourself, raise your hand, look at our website, look at our application. We have frequently asked questions on our website. I did want to talk just a brief moment about selection. So our scholars, anyone who applies on time and has a submitted application, completed and submitted on time, will get a review. And we use outside reviewers, independent contractors who are faculty member or student advisors working at university campuses, other scholarship providers. We have a pretty good group of colleagues, professionals who read our applications for us, and they are read and scored based on mainly the responses that a student provides. And they're read and scored twice, and those scores are averaged. So the high scorers will be the ones that are selected as finalists, and then we will move down the list to create our wait list. And then the funding that students are offered is up to a certain amount, but if your unmet need does not support that amount, it could be less. So there is a little bit of movement between the time you submit to your review process to your finalist offer to what you actually get at the end. So we do get a lot of questions about that. If you have any questions on how that works, we're happy to help you understand how important it is to work offline on your responses, work in a Word document so that you don't lose your information. You can save it, and if you're going to reapply, you can use those same responses in the future, as long as you update them, and maybe revise them or make them stronger if you weren't selected before. And then there's probably about a dozen prompts, and then each prompt has different sections. So it's pretty lengthy, and we're looking for good writing. They don't have to be long-winded. You can just get right to the point. You can make sure you answer the question, and then there is the comments section if there's anything else you want to clarify. A lot of students will say, my school doesn't have grading system, or I'm a freshman, but technically I'm a sophomore because I have transfer credit from high school, or, you know, anything like that. You just didn't find any place else to put it. There's a really good place there where we can get your comments.
And I'm really happy Bridget brought up the Word document. So in Oasis, there's no autosave feature. So you will need to constantly be saving your work if you're working within the system. But it's like a really big tip for us to just copy and paste the questions within a Word document and just use that to just free write, you know, go over it, you know, edit it, and then, you know, submit even like the last day. Go ahead and copy all your responses and then go ahead and submit your application. So that's a big thing, because we have gotten calls before where they put in an applicant put in hours of work within Oasis and their computer died or their Wi-Fi got lost and they lost all that work. And those are the worst conversations in the world. So don't do that to me. Just utilize your tools, definitely anything to help you to get that application successfully submitted.
Gabe, do you have anything you want to add? Any tips?
Sure. I'll just jump in. You know, one of the things I always think about when we're talking about, filling out answers to questions in an application is that, you know, oftentimes, and many of you may already know, and for you all that may be applying in the future, you know, sometimes we kind of get locked into, putting down some conventional answers to things like community service events or leadership activities. And I always encourage, students or those that are thinking about applying to really think about the things that you're involved in. And they may not line up with the conventional idea of, let me just give an example. For high school students that are looking at applying for undergraduate scholarship with Cobell, they may putting things in there like, I'm part of the student government, which is, you know, definitely if you're involved in that, put that down. But there are also other things that you might be involved in, and you begin to think outside of the box. So if you're involved in tribal doings in your local community, whether it's in Shawnee or, you know, my tribes, I'm a Cheyenne Arapaho from Western Oklahoma. There's a lot of things that happen out there. And so, you know, there are a lot of ways that you can express yourself as a student in your leadership activities and community service through the things that are done in your tribal community. To include there, you know, I grew up in McLeod, Oklahoma, and I was very involved in church, and there's ways that you can include those items on your application as well. When we think about the application reviewers and they're looking at your application in totality, they're looking at your grades, they're looking at everything that you submit, they begin to start seeing who you are as an applicant, what your story is, kind of those unconventional experiences that you may have that really creates you as a well-rounded student. Different experiences that have taught you how to be a leader in your community, in a small group. Again, those things that happen on campus are definitely places where you can learn those things, but there are other places as well. What are the things that you're involved in your community that may even lie outside of that? So that's one other thing to think about when you're applying and submitting answers to the questions that are in the application. I encourage you to kind of think of the things that you're passionate about. You know, I think we sometimes think about when we put things down in Word, it can be a beast. But if you sit down and think about the things that truly move you, or things that you're passionate about, those type of things, when you write, you'll start to see some of that passion come through in your writing. And those professionals that are reviewing your application will begin to feel that as well. And that goes a long way when you think about it. So those are just a couple items that I want to throw out there in addition to what Maloni and Bridget had mentioned. So again, you know, that could be anything, but begin to speak around that. So if you're supporting students that are applying, you know, mention that to them, kind of explore different things that they might be involved in. If you're the applicant, you know, consider that. Go back through your application if you already started it. What are some other areas that you can add to it to kind of more fully express your story as a person, as a student, as an individual, as a tribal member, and what your experience brings to the table. But I give you that. Thank you.
Good point.
Yeah, and I think it's really special too, going to this non-conventional you know, things about yourself, because it's really painting a picture of who you are as a person too. Because yeah, anyone can be a good student with a 4.0 perfect attendance, but also who are you as a person? Who are we investing in? How will you carry the legacy of Eloise Cobell with the work that you do within your community, whatever that may look like, Indian country, you know, any community that is yours. Ultimately, you are sharing the story of Eloise Cobell, and that's who we look for. I feel like as Cobell scholars. So,
you know, Tesha is one of our reviewers, and we're happy to have her come back and review for us. So she's an excellent resource, although she cannot read your application. If she comes across someone, anybody comes across someone we know, we have to excuse ourselves from that one and pass it on to a different reviewer. But as a resource, she's right there in your community. She's read before. She knows what she's looking for, and she knows the application. It doesn't really change from year to year. It's the same application as last year and the year before. So use your resources that you have, and tell us about the resources that you're using to succeed in the right area.
Tesha's like, oh no, that was a secret.
No, not a secret at all. I am happy to help anybody. And I was going to ask, because, you know, it's come up before and I've reached out to Bridget. If a student, you know, submits what they feel is the best application they could, and then they don't get selected because it's very competitive. Is there an opportunity for them to get any feedback on what might improve their application?
Only if the reviewer makes a comment or a note. Otherwise, we just have to look at the application and give some generalities, like your answers are kind of short. Your grammar was a little poor, I could understand what you were saying here or there. Your GPA was a little bit low and you didn't really explain it. We can give some generalities, but if the reviewer puts a comment as to why they gave it the score they did, high or low, we can provide feedback for the students. And so we do instruct reviewers to add their comments as well.
I have a question. So as far as the graduate scholarships, could you say, like last year, like what percentage of them were funded? Like maybe 20%, 20 out of 100 or 5 out of 10?
I was actually just talking to our Oasis our director of Oasis on this, and he said it was somewhere between 15% of applications get awarded within the graduate pool. And the reason for that is because it's just so dang competitive, and we only are allowed a certain amount of monies to fund towards the graduate applications, which is significantly smaller than the undergrad. So there is more of a chance to receive an undergraduate scholarship than a grad. And I guess you can speak a little more towards the competitiveness of grad.
Yeah, graduate students do a good job on their applications. You know, it's very hard to select from the graduate because they're all good. So, you know, the reviewers have a hard job of really, you know, pulling out details as a graduate student regarding your educational journey, how you got to where you are. Maybe you can talk in more detail about who you're working with and the types of research. That's what they want to see. They don't want to see just general responses. They want to see more specific details, like why are you interested in that research? Why did you choose that master's program? Where are you going to take it? You know, and who are you working with specifically? And what makes you passionate about the law? Or, you know, the real concrete examples in a graduate application. And they expect more from graduate students than, you know, a freshman coming, you know, right out of high school. You know, they may not have that sophisticated, you know, type of, you know, vision in their heads. But graduate students, you know, are all good. They're all good students. So it's very hard and difficult to choose from the top. So it is competitive.
And also utilize that reference. For the graduate reference specifically, their recommender can upload a letter. Versus the undergraduate reference, they will need to log into Oasis and answer a set of question prompts. So the graduate reference, just make sure you choose someone, I mean, I'm sure you're well aware of your references, but someone that can speak to you as like an investment. You know, this is why you need to fund this person because X, Y, Z, you know, and so I mean, ultimately, like, we're not gonna work with you in your profession. We're not gonna, you know, they don't need to answer to your skills. They need to know why you're an amazing investment. So just, you know, that reference too. means a
Sometimes
lot.
the graduate students ask, should we do an academic reference or a community reference? So it's really up to you. Academic reference to me would be the best choice, but sometimes you have someone who's both. The reference is going to be important, although you won't get selected just on the reference alone. You won't get selected just on the GPA or just on question number 4, you know. But it's like Gabe said, a totality, a holistic review, a comprehensive review of your entire application. So whatever you got, bring it to the application in the written form and use your best type of grammar as well.
I have one more question. So I noticed y'all have a lot of social media. When are you getting TikTok?
We have a TikTok.
Yeah.
You do? I didn't see it on
I
there.
know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Cobell Scholarship, and we post tips and tricks on applying. We post shenanigans within the office. Like our TikTok is kind of our more weirder corner of our social media, where you can really get to know us as individuals and as, you know, our students as well. So yeah, check it out.
I'll give you a follow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course, thanks for following us.
Thank you. So
I
how
was
we
gonna-
begin?
We got about 5 minutes.
I was going to add a note on the references, and I know it was expressed a little bit, but just to kind of iron it out just a little bit more, you know, I think the reference area is a place where applicants have a really good opportunity to, for lack of a better term, really enhance your application. So what I want to say is, when you think about selecting your references, if you can find individuals that are able to really vouch for your academic or, you know, whatever the reference is speaking to, that ties back into your application, that's a really nice way to, you know, enhance that application. Also selecting somebody that is dependable. So I know that's maybe that's not a, you know, really mind-shattering information, but too often, you know, we have applicants that are really good applicants, but everything looks good, but then all of a sudden the reference portion is a little, you know, it's left undone. Sometimes the reference is hard to get a hold of. So if you're advising somebody, make sure that you, if you're advising them or you're applying, that you find references that are dependable, that will write well on your behalf, and that you have confidence that they will submit, you know, well ahead of the deadline, just like you're going to do as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Your references are a good place for you to enhance your application, but sometimes if you don't select the best references for you, that can be it can work in the other direction. So I just wanted to say that.
That is really important, Gabe, because us high school students often select their high school counselor. And at the same time, the high school counselor is probably submitting references for a lot of other people. And unfortunately, application is not complete without the reference. And so the reference, you know, did not do it, you know, or couldn't log in and didn't let us know that they could log in. So there can be technical issues also. So we try to be a little bit more forgiving, you know, give the references 7 days after the application is due. But, you know, you need to follow up with them. Did you do it? Thank you very much for doing it, you know, and sometimes they even ask what you would like them to say, you know, so work with that person. That's the best practices. Any other questions? Please do look at the videos that we produced, the how-tos, read the FAQs, read the articles in advance. They're pretty long.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of students will get to the deadline and go, oh, I didn't know I needed a reference. Oh, I didn't know I had to read 2 long, you know, academic articles, you know, and I have to respond to them, you know, so, and it's not just to reiterate what you read. It's not an article review. It's just to pull some information and relate it to yourself.
Yeah, they're really cool too. They're really interesting. I love
Mhm.
the applications or when students call us, they're like, I had no idea this was a thing. I had no idea Native women led the largest settlement in US history. It's like, well, that's what we do. We make sure you know.
And this is her right here.
Yep.
Eloise is
Eloise.
always looking over our shoulder.
But yeah, of course, if you have any questions later, send us an email, give us a call. We also have chat on our website. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'll get your question answered.
A lot of
Um,
students post questions on Facebook.
Oh yeah, we get a lot of Facebook messages. Anytime you DM, I got you.
What is the best email address for students so we can put it in the chat?
Scholarships@cobellscholar.org.
Easy enough.
And Tesha and Charles and the other staff, feel free to give them our individual email.
Mhm.
We take emails through our own personal emails as well.
Perfect. Well, Igwin, heartfelt thank you to your whole team for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Going to open up the floor one last time. Let's see. Looks like Kendra, I guess Alex had to step out, so you're our last student. Do you have any other questions for these fine folks before we let them go back to their day?
I don't think so. Thank you all for, it was very informative and very helpful. So it actually answered some questions that I had, so I appreciate it.
Sorry about those technical issues.
Yeah, that
Jeez.
was so freaky.
We persevered. We got through, had our head down. We made it happen.
We don't give up, that's for sure. But if you feel
Perfect metaphor for our students, just keep going, get that scholarship application in, don't give up. That's the main thing. So, well, thank you folks for joining us. We'll let you get off of here and go back about your day. But if we have any students who are interested, we'll definitely direct them your way.
Okay, I was gonna say too, Charles, if you feel you might need some information cards, we can put some information cards in the mail for you so that you can carry those in your office or hand them out at your events and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great, Bridget. I'll email you and we'll get that set up.
All right. Yay.
All right.
Did
Make
it.
a wish, Mama P.
Did it, Charles.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. All right.
Take care.
Have a good day.